Madras City Council passing a gas tax Tuesday night. It would be a penny the first year, 2 cents a gallon the second year, 3 cents a gallon the third year. The money raised would be used to pave 10 miles of unpaved roads in the city limits. I talk with Royce Embanks, Jr., a member of the Madras City Council.
Well, it passed with a 3-2 vote. As far as representation from people in the city, we only had 2 people that attended the meeting.
Okay. Why does Madras need a gas tax?
Well, we have about 10.5 miles of unpaved existing roads right now, and no means to actually pave them. And this has been ongoing for a number of years. People in past city councils and city government have promised to pave streets, but it's never seemed to happen because we've not had the revenue to do it. This would give us a means to do some paving on existing streets, and that's all the money would be marked for, would be to pave existing unpaved streets. We believe that there's about 65% of the gas sold in Madras is sold through to people passing through Madras. And so that's a source of revenue we can tap into. And also the state legislature has enacted a law that says that cities can't raise a gas tax after September 1st, I believe. So we're sort of fighting that deadline to give us still the flexibility to raise some money in that regard for unpaved streets.
How much money is expected to be raised? I know this is kind of an incrementally increasing gas tax.
Right. 1 cent the first year, 2 cents the second year, 3 cents the third year. And, obviously we don't know the exact numbers because we don't know how to sort out who is getting gas. We're going by what we project. And we figured around $200,000 to $300,000 a year.
In the first year?
In the first year. And then, of course, after that it would be 2 cents more or a penny more. So just projecting up, you could figure that it might be $600 by the second year.
And so on and so forth.
So on and so forth, yeah.
Does this sunset and expire at some point, or is this ongoing?
Well, the city council can stop it at any time by repealing the ordinance. We have not put a time limit on it. I believe Pendleton, their gas tax ordinance actually puts a 4-year time limit. Ours, we have not put a time limit on it yet because the cost for paving streets is astronomical, and we don't know, what kind of revenue we're going to get, so we didn't want to limit it before we could derive enough tax monies to pave these unpaved streets.
What would you say to the critics who say now is not a time to raise taxes?
Well, I'd agree. It's not a time to raise taxes, but we're faced with a problem that we can't solve, and residents that have been told for years that they're going to have their streets paved. This is one way to do it. If we don't find some other method, we're not going to be able to have any of our streets paved that are existing right now that are unpaved.
When does this gas tax go into effect? When do people start seeing it show up on the big signs up by the road? Well,
right now there's been a challenge by the petroleum lobby, and they're circulating a petition to have it put on the next election ballot. And so we can't do anything. And if they get enough signatures, they only need about 200 signatures to get this placed on the ballot. And I'm sure they'll find that many people in town who would sign the petition. And so until it's put on the ballot and voted on, we won't be able to put it in action until after that period of time. And right now we don't know when the next election cycle is going to be, whether it will be a special election or an election in November.
So it would be a vote in Madras?
Yes.
Okay.
Madras only.
And they'd need 200 residents of Madras to sign the petition saying they want to go to the voters.
Right.
Okay. who's doing this? Is it gas station owners, or are they having people come from?
Well, there's a petroleum association. It's a gas station. The bottom line is it's actually petroleum industry. They fight any tax placed on gasoline. And you got to wonder what their motivation is. They don't really care about the citizens of Madras. It's not that type of an issue. It's about the industry itself. And, of course, they don't want to be the recipients of bad press because prices for oil have been high in the past, and oil companies have made obscene profits from the sale of gasoline and oil. And so they block any attempt by the cities, or even by the state, actually, to increase the gas tax.
How do you, as a city council member, feel about that?
I feel about the oil companies?
Yeah, about the Oregon Petroleum Associate coming in and circulating petitions, and do you have any feelings about that?
Well, obviously, yeah, I do. I just think that it's really ironic that they do that when they make so much money off of oil and gasoline, and that they're not really worried about the city or the state. All they're interested in is a bottom line, which is profits. It's the old thing about outsiders controlling what you do in the city or what you do in the state. I mean, most of us voters don't like someone from the outside coming in and saying you can't do this or you can't do that. Within ourselves, within the city, if the city, if we have a choice and we say no, then that's what our constituents want. They don't want to have a gas tax, they'll vote it out. But I think having somebody come in from the outside, spend a lot of money to lobby and to essentially run our politics locally, I don't think that's right.
Okay. Right. Royce, is there anything you want to add?
Well, you asked about when's a good time. There's really no good time for taxes. But right now, the cost for the paving of these streets is not going to go down. It will only keep escalating and keep going up. This would give us an opportunity to pave the streets, future streets that would be made here in Madras that have not been built yet will be paid by a system development charge. But the streets that have been here for years and years and years won't be. And so the only vehicle we have is this tax. And I know that there's many citizens that live on these unpaved streets, and it would be very nice to be able to pave those for them and finally keep a promise that the city's councils in the past have never kept.
To pave those unpaved streets.
Right.
Okay. Would money also be available to maintain existing streets that are already paved, and is that part of it?
No, the money would not come out to maintain streets that have already been paved. Right now, the only thing that we're earmarking this money for is to pave unpaved streets. We have a state gas tax, transportation tax, that we do get money from, about $238,000 a year, I think, and that goes to maintaining the streets that we have right now. But obviously, over time, you have to keep these streets maintained, and some of our streets go back so far they don't even have a sub-base on them. They're just pretty much asphalt over the ground. So there are a lot of other expenses, and hopefully with a change in the economy, if things turn around, it would help to have extra system development charge funds so that we could maintain or upgrade some of the streets in town.
And those extra funds would come from this gas tax?
You mean the gas tax we're trying to enact?
Yes.
Well, no, they would only go right now. That would only go to pave
streets.
The unpaved streets that exist.
After you get, let's say this gas tax continues and you've paved those 10 miles of streets, would you then look at consider the issue then and decide whether you want to continue it and then what the money would be used for at that point?
Well, that is probably a decision. If the gas tax is passed, that would be a decision that would be 3 to 4 years down the road. Some councilors will be gone by then, just naturally the way city government is and elections and that sort of thing. Personally, there's three of us that voted in favor of this, and all three of us want to have this ordinance be repealed after these streets are repaired, or not repaired, but paved.
I see. Okay.
That's our thinking, is that once the streets are paved, these 10 and a half miles of unpaved streets, once they're paved, then this tax could be repaired. The tax could be repealed. The ordinance could be repealed.